guys, welcome back to my channel of When the Slipper Fits, episode 2. Before we get started on today's video, make sure you follow and subscribe my YouTube channel. Also, my TikTok account and my Instagram will be linked down below, so make sure to follow and subscribe. And we made it to 1,000 subscribers on my TikTok. God is just so good, guys. If you've been getting amounts of attacks, you're right where you need to be. So without further ado, let's get straight to the video. Last week we talked about the prince and Cinderella. Today we're going to focus on the stepmother and Satan. That's right, friends. We're talking about Satan. So why is he so important to some of our topics? He shouldn't be important to some of our topics, but for you fellows who have been countless attacks after attacks, Satan can get involved, and we don't want him involved, but he comes. That's why we put on the full armor of God to defeat the battle. So today's topic is going to be called Satan Knows Your Story and He Cannot Stand It, Part 1. We are going to talk about Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, which begins with Cinderella's 1-year anniversary. And you're probably sitting there going, she's gotten her desired wedding and she lives happily ever after, right? No, she doesn't. Satan cannot stand your legacy because hers just unfolded, right? So the stepmother gets involved and doesn't like the legacy. Anastasia is dreaming about a prince for herself because we all want to be loved. And even though she's a bad person, you kind of have to understand Anastasia's home situation. She doesn't have a good parent. She doesn't have a good sister or a good home base like Cinderella does right now with the prince and the king and her mice friends. So she's stuck and wanting to be loved. She figures out the fairy godmother has the magic wand. And she figures out that's how Cinderella got the story was magic. But we know it wasn't magic. It was her character and her heart that got her that story. So Anastasia has it in her mind. It's the magic wand. So she takes it. The fairy godmother notices the wand has been taken. And she tries to get it back. When Anastasia turns her into a garden gnome, and before she got frozen into a garden gnome, she said in the wrong hands, it can be extremely dangerous. There's where Satan comes in. He steps in and sees a legacy unfold, and he tries to break up that legacy. So the stepmother comes in and unfolds the legacy. She turns everything back into time when Cinderella was back up in the tower, locked in her room, so they can unfold the legacy into their legacy. And I know half of you are pretty much upset as I am right now because the first time I saw that movie, I was beside myself. Because Cinderella has worked so hard to get to this point in her story that Satan came in and attacked the story. And we know as fellow believers, we are in the exact same boat. You feel defeated. You feel confused. You feel lost and frustrated. That's how Cinderella felt. So the stepmother stops time back to where the Grand Duke was about to come in and place the foot on Cinderella's foot. So Anastasia steps up to the plate first to try the slipper. And we all know the slipper doesn't fit. That's where Satan comes in and forces it to fit. We all know the magic words in Cinderella. It's bibbidi bobbidi boo, right? The stepmother used it, and guess what fits? The slipper on Anastasia's foot. But you're sitting here going, how does it fit? It does not fit her foot. That shoe is a size 4.5, And her foot has got to be at least 10 or 11, right? She made it big to fit her foot. And the legacy became theirs and not Cinderella's. Satan can do the exact same thing when a blessing hits. And that is our job, to give the battle to God. Because we can't do it ourselves. We have to have God into the battlefield, defeating it. So what happens with Cinderella? She comes down the stairs and sees them leaving with the slipper. And she's saying, this cannot be. She's confused, frustrated, and upset, which she should be, because that shoe right there does not belong to Anastasia. But then you're sitting here going, pull out the other shoe, show the Grand Duke before it's too late. He left before she could pull out that tiny glass slipper. So the stepmother stops her with her cane and says, you look confused, dear. Now, if you think back to Adam and Eve, Eve was not supposed to touch the apple, but who came creeping in? You guessed it, Satan. The way the stepmother looked at Cinderella is the exact same look the serpent gave to Eve. So Cinderella says, I danced with the prince. That was my slipper. I have the other one. I'm the one he's looking for. So she gets all smug and bitter, like Satan would, and say, you may have danced with him, and you may even have thought it was love, but the slipper fits Anastasia, and that's who he's married. She takes the cane and flings it on the shoe, and it's dangling directly down the stairs, and you're sitting there with your heart racing going, don't drop that shoe. The stepmother says to Cinderella, whatever you think happened last night was a dream. Down goes the shoe, and it smashes into 1,000 pieces. And you're sitting there going, no! Why? Because Satan knows your story, and